Hi, welcome to the fifth in my series of underused and misunderstood tools in Vectorworks as part of my lockdown series. My name's Bo Cook, I'm a garden designer based in Sussex and I'm also a Vectorworks trainer. So today I want to show you the Connect Combine tool. This is one of those tools that I use often, but when I'm teaching people Vectorworks and brushing up their skills and they've been using it for a while, I'm quite surprised how many will say that they don't use this tool because it doesn't work for them. They can't get it to work properly, or they just don't understand what the point of it is. So I'm going to show you today how I use it. Now, I don't use all of the modes very often. I tend to use the last two modes, the combine mode and the multiple object connect mode. I find those the most useful, and I will show you why. But I'm also going to show you the first two modes as well, just so that you fully understand how this tool works. So let's have a look at this first one. The first one is the single object connect mode. So what that's going to do is it's going to connect the first object that I select to the next object. So it might mean it's going to trim off the excess line, or it's going to extend the line out towards that object. So you have to think, whenever you're using this tool, you have to be very careful which side of that object you are going to, particularly if you're trimming, which one you're going to connect. So in this instance here, I want to trim off what's on the left hand side of this line, and I want to keep what's on the right hand side of the line. So I'm going to click onto the right side, then I'm going to select the line that I want it to trim back to. And you will see there we've now lost that excess line. If I do that with this here, I wanted to show you what happens. So what it's not because it's only a single object, all it's going to do in this instance is extend the line that I have selected to out. It's not going to join it up to here. It's going to extend it out to where that line would cross if it was going to, if it actually went past the end of that line. So if I now select that object, you can see it's extended out, but it hasn't actually sort of gone up or pulled that one down. I don't use this very often because I tend not to work in line work. I work in solid shapes. So this is one of those tools that I might use a little bit when I'm at the very, very beginning of my drawing, where I've got lots of lines all over the place, my centre lines, my alignment lines. I might have a few little bit of sketch line, that I might have just popped in, because I'm not wanting to work in full colour at the moment. I don't want to have any solid shape, so I might just have a few lines everywhere just while I'm getting my basic layout started. So yeah, it's not a tool I use very often, but I just wanted you to know how it will work. Just going to extend this line out again just to show you the dual object connect mode, which is the second one. And what that is going to do is it's going to trim, in this instance here where both lines are going over, it's going to trim back both lines now because it's the dual object. And with this one here, it's going to extend both lines out. So it's slightly different to the single object where that's only working on the first one that you click on. This one is going to work on both lines. So if I click to the left and to the top, it's trimmed off both those excess bits of line there, and then if I click onto the right and the top here, it's now extended both those lines out, so they are now touching each other. But do note that they haven't combined. They are still independent lines. You can't put any fill in any of these. Now the third mode that I use is the combine mode, and what that is going to do is it's going to take your two objects and it's going to combine them together, but it also will connect them first. So it is actually a sort of connect and combine process. So I'm just going to show you that in this group here. If I select all, I want you just to have a quick look here. I've got quite a few lines. This one here, they're obviously not joined together because I've got no fill in here. I've got a part fill on this arc. This line here is too short and this line here is too long. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to now get these all to join together to become one object. At the moment you can see over here there's 6 objects. So there's 5 lines and 1 arc. So selecting the Connect and Combine tool and selecting the Dual Object Combine mode, I'm now going to nip around. I'm going to grab that little line there. I'm going to join it to the arc. Grab the arc, join it to the line, grab the line, join it, grab the polyline, join it to that line. Now I've suddenly obliterated my other lines. You can see they're sitting underneath. So I'm just going to send that to the back. Connect and combine tool again. Join that one to there, and then I can join, oh, we're back on top again. Let me just send that to the back. And connect to there. So now we have one polyline. Okay, so we've joined all those together. Again, there are other ways of doing this, but in some instances this is the best tool to use. Now the one mode in here that people really don't fully understand, and I find really incredibly useful, is the multiple object connect mode. So I'm just going to show you in here. I've got a deck. I've got my deck lines, so they're all just independent lines. I have, in this instance, I'm going to show you the connect and combine, and I'm also going to show you the multiple object combine mode as well. So in this instance, I have a deck, then I've got a stone insert, and I've got my fire pit on the top. So let's say, for example, we decide to take that out. Just going to shut off the furniture for a minute. So we're going to take that out. I am going to just draw another rectangle. I'm going to add surface. Again, there are other ways of doing this, but I'll show you that one later. That's another of my tutorials. But so now you can see here, we've got this sort of gap where that stone section used to be. So I now quickly want to join those together. So I'm going to use the combine mode. I'm just going to whiz across and combine those two together. Okay. Right, that was easy enough. Now in this scenario, just so that I can show you the multiple object combine mode, we are now also going to rotate these onto the 45 degree. So let's do that. So that's now on the 45 degree. Now you can see here I've got a gap. I've got a gap here. I've got obviously a gap here, and I've got a gap here. So there's a few tools that I can use now just to sort this out. Let's firstly just trim off those ends. So I'm going to use that tool I taught you first, which is the clip tool. And I'm just going to chop off those excess bits there. Actually, I could have used the second mode, it would have been quicker. The inclusion mode, but anyway. Now, the multiple object combine mode. So what we first need is an object to combine to. So I'm just going to pop that in temporarily. It doesn't matter that it's green because we're going to get rid of it. But I'm working in a group here, so because I've got lots of lines and I don't want them to all end up loose all over my drawing. So the first thing I'm going to do is to select the. Sorry about the dog. The first thing I'm going to do is to select the object that I want them to connect to, which is in this instance this side of that rectangle. And then I'm just going to whiz through, click on those lines, and they are all going to extend out to that line. Now note that it's not happening on the other side, because what we need to do is to then come round. Sorry about the dog, I think there's a squirrel outside. So we click now onto the other side of that rectangle, and then we can do exactly the same thing. Sorry, I'm not doing it quick enough. There we go. And then that will extend out to that edge of that rectangle. Also, we would then need to just quickly mirror these over to fill up that gap, and then you would use the inclusion or the exclusion mode on the clip tool just to trim those off, and then delete off your template shape that you've used underneath, and then exit group. Obviously I'm not going to do that now because I'm just showing you the connect and combine tool quickly. So that is an example of where I use that tool an awful lot, and that is because we are either extending the size of a deck or a paving area, or we're changing its shape, and therefore we've then got these sort of lines that we need to extend out, and rather than just click on each individual line and drag it, it's much easier if you use the multiple connect mode of the connect combine tool. Okay, so I hope that was useful, and remember to post below on this YouTube channel if you want any particular tutorial done, and for me to show you how I use it in practice, because I think it's much more useful when you see how it's actually used in real life scenario. It just makes it make sense, I think. So yeah, post below and keep your eyes out for the next 2 in this series. After this series is finished, I'm then going to move on to your studio style, and also we'll be looking at making your workflow much more effective and efficient as well. Okay, have a lovely day. Cheerio.